Good morning. Um, we will go ahead and get ourselves started. I was getting all the tech stuff set up. So, good morning. Welcome to Yin Yoga this Wednesday morning at the end of April. Somehow we're already that far into the year. I hope that things are going well for you wherever you are, and that spring season has been a season of kind of coming into a new chapter in a way that feels like springing back and springing forward and kind of continuing this journey of healing from all of the gifts that last year offered to all of us in different ways. So this morning's practice will flow through several different two-sided poses and spend maybe a little bit longer than we sometimes do, just in the interest of, as we're moving forward, still making sure that we take time to slow down and pause. And so go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable seat wherever you are, whatever that means for you. And we'll just spend about a minute or so here, kind of waking up our neck, getting into grounding into this place. And then we'll move into our first pose together and spend some time there. And so wherever you are seated, kind of as per usual, we'll start with just taking a moment to notice everything around you that's physically touching you. Whether that be you have pets joining you, or other things that are stationary, such as your mat or any props that are nearby. Just begin over the next few breaths to just notice where your body touches anything that's nearby. And as you do that, make any adjustments that you need to feel a little bit more comfortable. We don't necessarily need to be worried at first about our posture or our breath in this pose. We're just getting into our bodies, arriving here, noticing things. And then we can make adjustments as we go along to add more stretch, release tension, and just let go of anything that we don't need to be holding on to. And over your next breath, we'll reintroduce a practice that we've done before, which is a 3-part breath. And so go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And begin to imagine that you can breathe in through your nose into your chest, and see if you can take that deep breath all the way down to your belly and fill it up as if there were an imaginary balloon inside that you can inhale all the way down into your belly for. And over the next few breaths, begin to keep doing that and hold your breath for just a moment once you feel full, and slowly exhale just as intentionally as you inhaled, exhaling out your belly, out your chest, and then out your nostrils. And continue breathing this way for about a minute, just to arrive. We'll stretch out our neck a little bit and get going into our class. And as you inhale, see if on each next few breaths you can take in a little bit more air, breathe a little bit deeper, and notice how maybe your body begins to feel like it's expanding on the inhales, making more space, more air, and then on the exhale, how it's softening. And to stretch out our neck, we'll drop one ear to one shoulder. And so we'll actually start this week with dropping our left ear to our left shoulder. So on your next breath, go ahead and do that. Decide if you'd like to look down at your shoulder or up at the ceiling if you prefer an alternative stretch to just dropping it to one side. Just continuing that 3-part breath, or just resuming a normal, natural, deep inhale, softening exhale. If you're just beginning your day, maybe you're noticing that your body's still waking itself up. That's okay. Take one more breath and then look down at your shoulder and drop your chin so that you can drop your neck all the way down, looking down at your navel or down at the ground, stretching out the back of your neck, with your chin tucked in. Take 5 breaths here. And then when you feel complete, continuing tracing your chin across your neck, across your chest, so that you're looking down at your right shoulder, and rotate your head so your right ear drops towards the right shoulder. Again, you can look down at your shoulder, up at the ceiling if you'd like to change this in any way. Just waking up our neck, getting to this place, arriving together. And then when you feel complete on an inhale, bring your head back up to neutral, eyes open or closed. And just look to your right and to your left a couple times, noticing if you'd like to look a little bit farther to the right over your shoulder or to your left over your shoulder, stretching out any other parts of your neck. And then we'll just move into our first pose together, which will be the sensational toes pose. And so if you have any props nearby that you need to adjust, go ahead and adjust them. And then come onto your hands and knees, not necessarily into a tabletop position officially, but if you'd like to start there, you can. And then once you're on your hands and knees, make sure that you have some padding under your knees if you need it. And then we will just set our bottoms back onto our heels with our toes tucked, so that our toes are tucked underneath us, heels are sitting back onto them. And coming all the way into a deeper toes pose, you might want to bring your hands off the mat, bring them onto your legs, and come up, refocusing on your spine being upright. And you'll again begin to feel this across the entire bottom of your feet. It feels like a lot. It's one of our most sensational poses of the day, but really helps you get into that place that we do in Yin Yoga where we are noticing sensation, sitting with it, adjusting so that we aren't feeling pain, but just sitting with the sensation of stretching our body in a way we don't throughout our day, and using our breath to allow us to sit in this strange or potentially uncomfortable but never painful experience. You can bring your hands to wherever you would like on your body, or if you prefer to keep them forward on the mat so you're not sitting all the way back, do that. Just return to that 3-part breath to just calm any sense of I can't do this, I can't make it through this, and adjust as you need to where you can make it through. Your poses don't have to look like my poses, and there's no right or wrong. The only wrong is if you're pushing yourself to a sense of pain. Back off. And just ride the wave of this pose, waking yourself up from your feet. And if you have your palms forward on the mat instead of sitting all the way upright, you might want to add in some wrist stretches so you can rotate your palms so that your fingertips are pointing out to the side and sway side to side, or you can rotate so that your fingertips are towards your body. Just gently lean back a little bit to get another stretch, this time in our wrists with our toes still tucked. Just got a little bit longer here. And then if your hands aren't already out in front of you on the mat, go ahead and place them palms down on the mat and begin to lean forward, slowly untucking your toes, being really gentle with them. And once you untuck them, put the tops of the feet on the mat and just kind of pitter patter, waking them back up, getting that blood flow circulating again. And then just sit back on your heels, with your toes not tucked for just a moment. Take 3 breaths here and notice what it feels like to sit back without sitting in toes pose. And then we're going to come into a butterfly position. So go ahead and adjust so that you can sit back down on your mat and come first to cross-legged if you would like. And then bring your feet into butterfly. So the soles of your feet together, touching. You can have them as close or as far away from your body as makes sense for you. And in this butterfly position, just grab your hands around your ankles and just flap your wings for just a moment, letting things circulate, letting things flow, getting into the groove of this. And then we're going to do a butterfly forward fold, but with one leg out at a time. And so we'll do both sides of this, and you can decide which leg you'd like out first. I'm going to be keeping my left leg tucked in and having my right leg out first. And you can also decide if you would like your leg out to the side at a 45-degree angle, or if you'd like your leg out more straight in front of you. Each of them provides sensation, just a different sensation. And so once you have one leg out to the side, go ahead and take an inhale breath and sit up really tall. Close your eyes and take a deep breath, imagining that you can inhale all the way down the length of your spine from the top of your head down to your seat, drawing an energetic line that's really strong. And then exhale all the way back out from your seat up to the top of your head. And then from here, if you have one leg out to the side, you'll decide if you'd like to fold forward or twist and fold over that leg. But if your leg is forward, we'll just be folding forward. So on your next exhale breath, make that adjustment, either twist your upper body so that you're facing over your knee and begin to place your hands on each side of your leg and walk down. Or if you're coming just directly forward, go ahead and just place your hands out in front of you and walk yourself down. You can keep your spine straight and then round when you feel like you can't move anymore. And being gentle with yourself and remembering that any version of these poses is the pose. The purpose is to feel sensation. So if you are folding in a different way than you have before or than you expected your body to be able to, that's okay. You're still getting what you need. You still took this time. You're still nourishing your nervous system, your body, and your mind. Just taking a deep breath, seeing if there's somewhere else you can soften and fold a little bit deeper on an exhale. And then just flowing with your breath. Be here for a couple minutes before we move to the other side. So ask yourself where you can let go, where you can soften, and where you can let gravity let you just be here in this posture. Maybe you drop your head down so that you aren't holding it up, letting it hang, letting your neck get a different stretch. Using your inhales to expand, make some space, and then your exhales to soften and move into that space. Just let gravity do its thing, and let your breath be the guide. Taking 2 more breaths here. With one leg outstretched. And on your next inhale, place your hands back down on the mat, pressing them in to the ground and the mat, slowly walking yourself back up to an upright position. We'll just inhale and curl our shoulders up to our ears, roll our shoulders back 3 times, opening up our chest, letting go of something. And then adjust as you need to feel neutral, bringing your outstretched foot back in, so the soles of your feet are together, flapping your butterfly wings again. We'll just move right into the other side. So whichever leg you had tucked in, this time you'll have that leg stretched out. So I'll have my left leg stretched out, my right leg in. Taking a big inhale, sitting up tall, deciding if you're folding directly forward or over that leg, depending on the angle that your leg is outstretched from your body. And then on an exhale, folding yourself forward, draping yourself down. Another gentle reminder that although your body may look similar on both sides, we are not in fact as symmetrical as we think. And so move away from judging yourself if you notice that one side is significantly or in any way different from the other. And just see each side as a different pose. Not expecting the same on both. Not having any type of attachment to expectations. And see where you could soften on your exhales, drop your head down. Let it hang, let your neck get some extra stretch. And let gravity do what it does. And ride the sensation of this wave with your breath. Using your inhales again to expand and make space, and exhales just soften and move into that space in your body. So maybe your head drops a little bit farther, your chest gets a little bit closer to your leg or the ground, or you just release the expectation that you should be able to get closer to the ground. Just be here where you can be, where your body is, and breathe. Taking one more breath. And on the exhale, pressing your hands into the ground or the mat, walking yourself back up, coming back up to an upright spine, bringing your head up last, being careful with it. And this time we'll inhale our shoulders up to our ears and roll them forward. So last time we rolled our shoulders back. Now we're just rolling them forward a little bit, which is an opposite direction. It feels strange. And when you feel complete, if you want to drop your neck over to one side or the other, twist it side to side to make any adjustments. We'll come into our next pose, which will be saddle pose with the option to have a block underneath your back to add it into somewhat of a fish pose. And so adjusting your body and your props on your mat so that you can come back to on your knees for just a moment. And then spread your knees out so that you can sit between your knees. And so your knees will be out, you'll be sitting between your heels. And if you're noticing that this doesn't work for your knees, you're welcome to just bring your legs out in front of you and come into a traditional fish pose. But to come into a saddle with fish pose added onto it, you'll grab your blocks or what you use for blocks and place them behind you. You'll use both of them. One will be for your chest, one will be for your head. And adjust yourself on your mat so that you are in a position where you'll be able to lie back. And so with your seat between your heels, place your hands on each side of your body and begin to just walk your upper body backwards, lifting up your seat and adjusting for your space in your lower back. And as you're walking back, you may notice that you are not interested this morning in coming into fish pose because you are coming back just enough, maybe onto your palms or onto your forearms. And this is enough of a stretch for you. And that's okay. But if you like to continue draping yourself back and you'd like to lay your shoulders on the first block and allow the second block to catch your head, this is an option as well. And if you are here and realizing that you would prefer to just be in fish pose with your legs out in front of you, come back up, adjust your legs out from underneath you, bring them out straight, bring them into butterfly legs, and then lie yourself back over the blocks or your props so that your chest can be lifted, that heart space can be lifted. Then you can bring your arms out to the side or into a T or a 4 goalpost or up over your head. Each of these offer a different stretch across your chest. But we're creating a lot of space here on the front side of our body after we've been folding forward. And so allowing that space to be created, allowing your breath to inhale and make room, expand your lungs out to the side, your belly up to the ceiling. Got kind of a Care Bear, a heart opening pose here. While also having maybe a deep pose in our hips with the addition of saddle pose. So inhale and expand. Exhale, soften and let go. Close your eyes and come into your body if you're comfortable. Adjusting your arms if you'd like them in a different position. And just resettling in for 3 more breaths. And this expansive posture. Let's face up, and that can feel really vulnerable. So if you're noticing that, it's okay. Just be with it. And then adjusting your arms if you have lied back all the way so that you can get your elbows back underneath, press them into the mat, tucking your chin to your chest, coming up to your palms, and coming back up out of this posture very carefully, very mindfully, moving your props to the side, adjusting yourself so that you can bring your legs out from underneath you if you were back in saddle pose. Just bringing the soles of your feet down to the mat, knees up to the ceiling, placing your hands on the sides of your body, and we'll just windshield wiper our knees side to side, letting blood flow back into our hips, down our legs. Just taking a moment to just move a little bit in a neutral position, a neutralizing position. And then we'll come again back down onto our backs. This time we'll be coming into bridge pose before we move back into some more face down internal positions. So keeping your knees up to the ceiling, lie yourself back on your mat, and grab one of those blocks that was nearby you. Press your feet into the mat, lift your hips up, and slide that block underneath your sacrum. And find yourself in bridge pose with your hips elevated above your heart. And here in bridge pose, you have the option to add on and make this somewhat of a legs up the wall waterfall pose. And so to do that, you might want to grab onto the block, lift up one leg, point it up to the ceiling with your sole of your foot, kind of imagining that it's a paintbrush on the ceiling. And maybe you want to bring both feet up, have both feet outstretched up to the ceiling. This adds in an element of balance and changes the posture some, but it can be great as well. Or you can just leave your feet down or have one leg in, one leg outstretched. I'll let you know when you're halfway through if you'd like to try this and switch out. It's going to allow for some hip opening as well. Just be here in bridge pose. Back to your breath. That 3-part breath if you'd like, breathing in through your nose, filling up your chest, filling up your belly, and then slowly letting it go out your belly, your chest, and your nose. And bring your hands wherever is comfortable in your body to just keep your focus and your calm on your breath. If you have one leg out, one leg in, take 3 more breaths on your own and then switch out which leg is in, which leg is out. Taking 3 more breaths wherever you are, and then we'll transition. Inhale, expanding. Exhale, softening. And then on an inhale breath, if your knees were tucked in or your feet were up to the ceiling, go ahead and bring the soles of your feet back down to the mat. And press into them. Lift your hips up. Bring that block out from underneath your body. Slowly allow your spine to rest back down on the mat. Bringing the soles of your feet out to the edges of your mat and letting your knees knock in for just 3 breaths here. Bringing your hands on your body anywhere that helps you come back to your breath. And coming back to that neutral spine, back to that grounding breath, and back to where your body's at now. We're halfway through our time together. Noticing anything that's shifted, anything that feels differently. And then curl your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around them, give yourself a hug. Rock side to side. Noticing anything in your back that you feel as you have your knees curled in. And then in your own way, rolling to one side or rolling forward and backwards, come onto hands and knees for tabletop position. Once you find yourself in a tabletop position, we'll flow through 5 rounds of cat-cow. We haven't moved our spine too much, so we'll make sure that we wake it up and move it a little bit before moving into child's pose and pigeon pose. So inhale, dropping your belly, lifting your head up to the sky. Exhale, pressing into the mat, rounding your spine, dropping your head, and lifting the back of your chest to your heart space that was just in that fish pose to the sky. 4 more times on your own. And coming back to neutral. And sometimes folks like to use downward dog as a transition into pigeon pose. I don't cue through downward dog in these classes just because I don't cue inversions right now. But if you'd like to do that, you're welcome to go ahead and tuck your toes, lift your hips up to the sky and come into downward dog. Breathing there, opening your legs up as you would like. But from tabletop, we'll start with our left leg forward. So pressing both hands into the mat, lifting up your left knee, bringing it towards your left wrist. Then tucking your right toe and inching your right leg back in space so that it's stretched out behind you. And your left knee is towards your left wrist. Your left ankle, your left ankle is moving towards your right wrist. Some folks' bodies allow their shin to be parallel to the top of the mat. Some folks don't. That's just not a problem, not an expectation, just a different way of feeling into this. And adjusting so that if you need something underneath your left hip, so it's not totally floating in the sky, you have that. Maybe you want to keep your right leg toes tucked because that's better on your knee. But here in this pose, press into the mat, look up towards the sky, and take an inhale breath through your mouth all the way down energetically the back of your spine. And then on an exhale, go ahead and walk your hands forward, come down onto forearms, and drape your upper body and your chest over that front leg. And pigeon pose is an intense hip opener, and so it's also a hip stretch. So noticing how those two opposing, or at least just different sensations feel in your body. Letting your breath see if there's anywhere that you can soften some tension, release something, and let something go so you can come into this posture a little bit more deeply. And go ahead and continue draping your chest and your upper body over your leg, over the front, adding anything that you'd like to catch your head. If you'd like to make it more restorative, maybe you grab a bolster and rest your chest on that. Or maybe you can bring your head all the way down so that your neck is just totally relaxed, forehead draping onto the mat. And just breathe a couple minutes here. And coming back to your breath for 3 more intentional, mindful breaths on this side. If you're finding yourself mentally distracted, counting your breath and making the exhales a second or so longer than the inhales can allow you to just refocus. Let the thing that's coming up be where it is. It will be there after class. On your next breath, press your hands into the mat. Come up a little bit. Tuck your back toe. Bring your back leg in, inching it back in, inching your knee in. And come back into tabletop just briefly. Sway your hips side to side. Let anything pop that needs to. And then we'll use child's pose as our intermediary pose. So you can decide if you'd like legs together or legs wide. Just settle your hips back onto your heels in child's pose position. Stretching your arms out in front of you. Dropping your head between your arms. Letting the forehead rest on the mat. And just breathing here for about 1.5 minutes before we move to the other side. Rolling your forehead side to side on the mat. Working out any tension in your brow line. Take another breath here and press your hands into the mat. Come back up to that tabletop position. Sway your hips side to side. Flow through any cat-cows that you need. And get yourself ready for the other side. Again, you're always welcome to come into this from downward dog. But from tabletop here, we will press our hands into the mat. This time tucking our back left toes, inching that leg back. And then bringing our right knee towards our right wrist. Ankle opening up towards the left wrist. Adding props underneath your hips so that they're not floating in the air uncomfortably. Getting yourself adjusted with that back toe tucked or untucked. Inhaling, looking up, drawing that long line down our spine. And then exhale, walking your hands forward, coming down onto forearms, draping your upper body over that bent leg, over anything in front of you. And letting yourself exhale and soften all the way down so that your forehead can reach the mat possibly, or a prop. Noticing what's different about this side, not judging, not holding on to expectations, just noticing differences. And if you notice a difference that you wish wasn't there, maybe ask yourself if there's a way that you can move your body in the next couple days in a different, more mindful way that will allow for, if you're noticing extra tension on one side, to maybe not be there, or if you're just noticing that one side of your body feels more easily able to stretch. Maybe you want to make some adjustments in how you sit, how you drive if you drive, or how you carry your body throughout the day so that the tension can be shared equally and then eventually moved completely through, rather than one side feeling completely open and one side feeling completely closed. It's important that we find ways to balance out, but also important that we notice that we use our body in different ways. If you write a lot, one of your arms will definitely get different use than the other. If you're driving, maybe one leg is getting more use, so one hip is getting more use. Again, this isn't about judging, it's just about noticing and making adjustments as we need to be more in alignment with where we would like to be. Coming back to your breath if you find your mind wandering. And on your next breath, press your hands into the mat, walk yourself up, tuck that back toe, come into tabletop really briefly, just in the interest of moving to child's pose. And if you had legs together on the other side, maybe you want to try legs apart, touching your big toes together, spreading your knees wide, shifting your hips back so you can rest your feet on your heels, stretch your arms out, and allow your upper body to drape between your legs or over your legs. And just rest here. And then pressing your palms into the mat, walking yourself back up. We're going to come on to our backs for a couple more poses before Shavasana. So bring your legs out in front of you. Adjust yourself so that you can lie flat back down onto your mat, fully stretched out. And we're going to just bring our knees into our chest again, curl them in. We're going to move into banana pose before we move into our twist and Shavasana. Bring your feet back down, stretch your legs back out. Bring your arms on an inhale breath up over your head so that you are essentially a long, neutral lightsaber. And so take an inhale breath and see if you can stretch your toes out as far as you can away from your body and your fingertips away from your body. It's feeling like you can be as long as you possibly can, stretching out your whole body. Just keep stretching for about another breath or so, feeling what it feels like to really stretch yourself as long as you can. And on an exhale, just open mouth, sigh it out, and just drop yourself down and let it all go. So to come into banana pose, we'll lift up our right leg and move it over to the right side of our mat. Lift up our left leg, move it next to it. Keeping your hips where they are in the center of your mat, lifting up your right arm, moving it to the right, followed by your left. You're kind of now in this arc shape, banana shape, moon shape. And you can lift up one leg and cross one ankle over the other to increase the stretch along the outside of your leg or your hip. But just be here in this banana pose where you are feeling a stretch down the entire left side of your body with our hands and feet moved over to the right side of our body, arcing our body in such a way that our hips remain neutral. You can inhale and breathe all the way down our side body, fully expanding as much as we can in this moment. And then exhale, see if you can let something soften so that you don't feel like you're having to hold or pull or grip yourself. And notice what it feels like to cross the opposite ankle, then you decided to cross on top. And ask yourself if that's the sensation you'd like this morning. You can grab one wrist with the other. Notice what that feels like differently. And you can also adjust so that you're looking either neutrally up towards your ceiling or to the right or the left. We'll just spend 5 more breaths here. And on your next breath, if you had ankles crossed, go ahead and uncross them, let go of wrists. And then lift up your left leg, bring it back to center. Lift up your right leg, bring it back to center. Same with your arms, bring them back to neutral. Take an inhale, stretch yourself out into a lightsaber, stretch yourself long again. Then open mouth, exhale, sigh it out. Relax, release. We'll move right into the other side. So lifting up your left leg, moving it to the left side of the mat, followed by the right leg. Left arm, followed by the right arm. Arc yourself over this time so that you feel sensation down the right side of your body, crossing ankles if you would like. Noticing how this side feels. And asking yourself on your inhales if you can expand and make any more space so that on your exhales, you can release any gripping, release any tension, and just feel really stretched out, really open, really expanded. And take 5 breaths on your own on this side, and then I'll cue us back to neutral and into our twist. On your next breath, uncross ankles if you had them crossed, let go of wrists. And then bring your right leg back to center, followed by your left. Right arm, followed by left. Take another breath in that long lightsaber stretched out pose. You yawn this time, let somebody else go. Open mouth, exhale. And curl your knees into your chest. Maybe one at a time, bring them in. It's okay if this feels crunchy. We were just stretched out. Now we're curling in, rock side to side. And we're gonna come into supine twist. It's 2-sided. So deciding which side you'd like to go to first. I'll be dropping my knees to the left first. So if you'd like to just go ahead and drop your knees over to the left-hand side, go ahead and do that. If you'd like to come into supine twist with eagle legs, press your left foot into the mat, lift your right leg up and cross it over your leg. And then maybe press a little bit so that you can shift your hips to the right. And then drop your knees over to the left. Trying to keep both shoulders on the mat and your chest up towards the ceiling. Just your knees dropping over, feeling a stretch on the right side of your body, feeling a twist, Feeling that similar thing to Pigeon Pose, where we both have a compression and an opening here. Adjusting as you need to. Adding anything under your knees to catch them if you would like to. Just letting this twist wring out anything else that you need to let go of, while also making some space for some things to stretch out that might have been stuck. On your next breath, uncross your legs if you had them crossed. Still leave your legs drop to that side. Let an exhale come out. And then on an inhale, bring your knees back up, feet pointed up towards the ceiling. Move right to the other side, taking, of course, any neutralizing moments if you need to, but this time lifting up your left leg, crossing it over your right, pressing your right foot into the mat to lift your hips a little bit to the left. Then drop your knees over to the right-hand side this time. Keeping your chest pointed up towards the ceiling. Both shoulders as grounded on the mat as you would like. Using the next breath or two to allow yourself to come more deeply into this twist. Inhale, making space that on your exhale you can shift your body into.
I unfortunately have to leave, Kim, but thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yeah, of course. You too.
Thank you.